All right, it says we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of This Week Unloaded. Tonight, so far, we have with us Snob's wife, aka Stacy. How are you tonight, ma'am?
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I can't complain too much. I definitely had worse days, as we were just discussing in the pre-chat.
Yeah.
And also with us tonight, we have the Kingpin, David Bowling. How are you tonight, David?
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Um, I know David and I were talking about it before we were live, but I don't know. Have you seen the news on the Turkey front with the sanctions that came out today, Stacey?
No, I haven't even had my TV on all day.
Okay, well, let me screen share. We'll talk about this a little bit. All right, this comes from the Washington Examiner. Treasury is ready to go, Trump says. Sanctions for Turkey may be coming. This all results from the when they were firing on U.S. troops and the Kurds and everything recently. President Trump said that there is a great consensus among Republicans and Democrats in Congress over sanctioning Turkey after its incursion against the Kurds in northern Syria. Trump said in a Sunday tweet that he has been in contact with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who is highly critical of Trump's decision to move troops out of northern Syria. Graham has called for Congress to sanction Turkey and suspend its membership in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, aka NATO, over attacks against the Kurdish people, whom the United States considers allies. And Trump's tweet, they got the picture of it right here, dealing with Lindsey Graham and many members of Congress, including Democrats, about imposing powerful sanctions on Turkey. Treasury is ready to go. Additional legislation may be sought. There is a great consensus on this. Turkey has asked that it not be done. Stay tuned. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland is co-sponsoring bipartisan legislation with Graham to sanction Turkey over its ongoing attacks against Kurds, who helped fight the Islamic State alongside the U.S. On Sunday, hundreds of people associated with ISIS reportedly escaped a Syrian camp where they were being held as Turkish forces close in on Kurdish-held areas. The detainees attacked the guards and managed to flee, realizing concern that has been expressed repeatedly by U.S. lawmakers. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Sunday that the Treasury is primed to move forward with sanctioning Turkey at any time. Now, I don't know if you guys and girls out there watching saw exactly what the sanctions entitle. So far, it's just military type stuff, and there's no heavy sanctions called for against the import of products from Turkey. But if this keeps getting, if the situation escalates any, that could change, and this could affect anybody who wants a canic like the one that Sarge had in his recent video. So if you're wanting something like that, folks, you might want to get out there and get it now. So, either of you have any thoughts on the proposed sanctions and what Trump said today?
I tend to take Trump's word for it. When he said that he'd destroy their economy if they mess around, I think he's about to destroy their economy because they messed around.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, to a point anyway. I mean, Turkey has other business partners out there. It just, I, I see a lot of it may probably going to be similar to the sanctions we have against Russia right now, which aren't hurting the Russian economy as much as what some people in this country may have thought they would. But then again, partially, I think the Russian sanctions were just a backdoor gun control. Because
Russia,
what
Russia's
sanction coming
economy
out
is
of
the
Russia?
size. France has an economy comparable to the size of Russia's. So Russia's
Yeah,
economy doesn't exist already.
yeah, yeah, but they got their gas lines and everything, which is what their main thing is. But
Yeah.
yet, none of the sanctions were put against Russia's gas line and fuel exports. It was all put against Kalashnikov concern, and then later Molat, who makes the Vepr line, because they were supplying weapons to the Russian military. And what else were they doing? They were exporting the weapons to this country. So, considering where the sanctions against Kalashnikov concern first originated, I'm telling you, with the Obama administration, and that was after the 7 and 6 545 by 39 ban. I think the Russian one, at least under Obama, was definitely this is just my opinion, a backdoor gun control agenda kind of move there. There's definitely other ways that would hurt the Russian economy more than banning AKs from being imported to the United States from Russia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Russian government doesn't make a bunch of money selling guns. It's barely a blip on the economy and on Russia's economy. It's barely a blip on America's economy. I mean, be realistic. Glock makes all kinds of money, or Smith and Wesson, or whatever other kind of brand you want, Ruger, whatever. They're a blip on the microphone, when the actual long, big scale of what an economy is. Gun manufacturing is hardly anything.
Yeah. Personally, I think if they do ban and put the sanctions on Turkey, and they do have the firearms importation into the United States as part of the sanctions, I think that will hurt Turkey more than it would what did Russia, because look at all the companies that are out there that their firearms that they import into this country are actually made in Turkey. You have one of Beretta's cheaper lines is made in Turkey. I believe Stoger is made in Turkey. I mean, there's a lot of different firearms manufacturers that deal with Turkey, not just canning. That one company that makes copies of the MP5, they're Turkish. I can't remember the name of it. What the hell? It begins with a Z. Zenith, is that it? I don't remember the name. It's something with a Z, but they're Turkish. So there's sanctions that come down against Turkey, and they involve their firearms importation. That could hurt Turkey more than it would Russia. Yeah, there's a couple of different shotgun companies that make. Oh, did I forget to put it on Gun Channels G? I'm sorry. I was running late and it slipped my mind. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, I mean, the alternative is, what are we going to do? Send troops into Turkey to fight Turkey, a NATO ally? No, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to stand for that. There's no way in the world I would agree to military action against Turkey for them attacking the Kurds.
Zastova's not in Turkey.
They're attacking the Kurds, and that's why we're having a beef with Turkey.
Yeah, no, I was responding
to Chicago, or it doesn't matter if they're doing it in Syria or wherever. It's the fact that they're attacking Kurds is the problem.
Yeah. When I say Zastava isn't in Turkey, I forgot I wasn't muted. That was like basically Galakis. He says Zastava. Now Zastava is Serbia, if I remember right.
All right, you're back. You're talking about the gun again. The gun you were trying to
that's Hugo. They're in Serbia, if I remember correctly. That's the part of the former Yugoslavia that they're. Sorry, King. I didn't mean to disrupt your train of thought with my train of thought.
All right. No. But I mean, think about it. You want to send Dead Horse's kid to Turkey? Is anything Turkey's doing worth killing our soldiers? No, absolutely not. Not right now.
No. Now, if Turkey does kill our soldiers while they're trying to shell the Kurds, that things might start to escalate then a little bit faster. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I don't see any reason to physically attack Turkey.
Did you hear Elizabeth Warren's laundry list of gun bans?
What's she saying now?
Oh man, she's got the 1 gun a month thing. She's got the mandatory buyback going on. She got the assault weapons ban. I mean, everything, every single trick in the book was on her little list.
I'm not surprised.
But back to the turkey thing. The Democrats and the Republicans have only got really one choice. They've got to pass a sanctions bill. They've got to support sanctions. Because if not, they already talked all kinds of trash about Donald Trump turning his back on the Kurds. So it's either we throw a bunch of sanctions on them, or we throw a bunch of bombs at them, or we do absolutely nothing. So what are you going to vote for? What are you going to go back and tell your constituents? Like I said, you're going to send a bunch of people's kids to Turkey because they're doing something we don't like right now. I don't know if that's going to fly or not, man.
Yeah, the problem is, I can see the sanctions hurting Turkey. I don't think it's going to be enough to make them stop. I really don't. If historically, this is not something new. The Kurds and the Turks have never gotten along. This is the Turks and the Kurds have been fighting since before Islam was a thing. Which, by the way, the Turks and Kurds are both Islamic. That's why I brought that up. It was a historical reference, not Muslims are bad kind of thing. My right now. If you watch the show, you know my thoughts on Islam. But that was just using that as a historical reference point because they've been fighting since before then against each other. These are people that historically do not like each other, and this is just Turkey for some reason deciding instead of fighting the actual terrorists, it's a good idea to attack the guys that are fighting the terrorists because we don't like them either. Whatever happened to the old Muslim proverb of "the enemy of my enemy is my friend"? Are they? I mean,
that all that nonsense went right to pot the day that Muhammad died, and Shia and Sunni became a thing.
Oh yeah.
Once they started battling over secession to the throne of Islam or whatever you want to call it, is when they started slaughtering each other.
Well, the worst part is they're both in the same faction of Islam too. I mean, it's as I said, their fighting isn't even over what branch of Islam they belong to. Their fighting is the fact that the Kurds and Turks just don't like each other.
Yeah.
Even during the Ottoman Empire, people kept having to rein both of those people in when they were both part of because they were about to go to war against each other back during the Ottoman Empire when they were both on part of the same country and everything. It's a mess between the Kurds and the Turks. And it's not just the Turks that don't like the Kurds. The Arabs don't like the Kurds either. The Kurds are like a people apart from the rest of that. It's just one big mess. And we stepped right in it. So, any other thoughts on this? Stacy, you've been quiet. You got anything you want to add?
She's back.
I'm back. I was dealing with something, but I don't know as much about it, but I mean, especially when it comes to a lot of the overseas stuff. I mean, it's whatever, I guess right now, whatever they think right now, because I mean, I don't really know much about it. I haven't really listened to the news or been on the news or stuff because I've been busy with work and kids and all that. So, but I mean,
yeah, well, it's all right. I mean, if you don't know, I'd rather have you say you don't know than make something up. You know what I mean?
yeah, try and act like I know something when I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my job.
Oh. Jason Stewart's joined us out there. Jason, you have a link if you want to jump in. Midnight, you have a link too. I mean, unless you're doing something with your little one or something, I mean, you can jump in too. Since you want to make all kinds of snarky comments out there, you can jump in here and make your snarky comments. Night Strikes joined us. How are you, Mikey?
Don't call me
Don't
Mikey.
call you Mikey. I know it was a slip.
Otherwise, I start calling you Richard.
Start calling me what?
I start calling you Richard.
Okay.
Or I'll call you Dick.
No, that you won't do. Nope. I draw the line at that one. But
Well, hey, guess what?
Mikey was a slip. I apologize. I didn't mean to say that.
All right, Dick.
What's going on, Night Strike?
Stacy, I have a bone to pick with you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I keep sending you invites, and you never take me up on it.
Well, these last couple weeks, I've been on the particular nights you would have him. I've been really sick or having a really bad migraine type allergy symptoms. Now that it's starting to cool off and starting to freeze up a little bit, it's starting to get a little better.
You know, when Snob starts talking, just get the nearest pair of sound mufflers and just put them right over your head. So you know that'll fix your headache right there.
Yeah, well, he's not very conducive when it comes to headaches because that's usually about the time that he's annoying the kids and getting them to be loud, or he's fighting with one of the kids or something. And I'm like, oh my God, please just. I would ask him like a million times. My head hurts so bad, and he keeps annoying him or keeps arguing with them. But it's starting to get a little better now. So.
All right, well, that's good.
That's when you grab the bottle of Jaeger like you did that one night, but instead of drinking, you just clock him over the head with it.
That bottle of Jaeger is pretty expensive, so I'll probably use something cheaper.
Yeah, I would say just grab the nearest beer bottle you can find and just use that.
I did used to have a baseball bat around, but I'll find something. There's tons of number out there.
Well, we're saying just use a beer bottle. We're not trying to bludgeon him to death.
Just gonna injure him a little bit.
Just a little. You don't want it to be permanent, unless you.
I want him to still go out and work and make money.
Yeah, so he can't be permanent. It has to be temporary.
I just want him to be sore when he does it.
So again, that's all I had on that because I keep sending her invites and it's like she's snobbing me or something.
I haven't been on a lot of shows. This is actually the first time I've been on Rich's show in a couple of weeks too.
I thought you jumped in a little bit last week.
Did I jump in last week?
It was either last week or the week before.
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't last week because last week was when we were super early because I had something I had to do that night. So yeah, I think it's the week before. You might have jumped in for a little bit.
Yeah, because I haven't been going on a lot of shows just because I've been feeling so bad and going to bed early and not sleeping good at night and stuff. But
so, Night Strike, have you been listening to what we were talking about, or did you just?
I just got the email. I just jumped in. I've just been dealing with family all night, so I just got done.
All right.
So what I miss?
We were talking about Trump's comments on Twitter today about the Turkish sanctions possibly being passed, and he is fully on board with it now.
It means they probably pissed him off.
Yeah, and we were talking about the impact this could have on various gun makers.
Well,
well,
let's put it this way. If you still could find ZQI ammunition, that's going away because that's made in Turkey. If all the Canics are gone, by the way, most side-by-side shotguns, or not side-by-side, over and under.
Over under, yeah.
Over unders, almost every single one of them are made in Turkey. So kiss those goodbye.
Yep, at least the inexpensive ones. You can always get the real expensive British ones still.
Yeah, but who wants to pay that amount of money for it?
Well, have you seen those really nice British ones? If I had the money, I'd buy them just to have as a
I mean-
showpiece.
I mean, if I was going to spend a lot on an over-under shotgun that's really expensive, I would go for the goal and get one from Beretta instead. Because have you seen the ones Beretta makes? Oh my God, those are gorgeous. But again, you're going to spend a hell of a lot of money for them.
I guess you haven't seen the 20, 30 some $1,000 over-unders that come out of the UK with the engraving and the gold inlay and everything.
Beretta makes some like that and even more expensive too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So do the British ones. I've seen a set of Purdy's that were 100 and some thousand each.
I'd rather buy Italian first than English. I'll tell you that because
Well, if there's one thing the British do right in firearms, it's their over-under shotguns.
but the one thing they do right in firearms, but again, only the police and the royal family can use them.
Well, no, that's not the shotguns. You can get license and you just have to keep it at like your shooting club and stuff. They do have shooting sports. It's just not as open as it is here. Like, you can't keep your guns in your home. You have to keep them at the club.
Yeah, but of course the royal family is exempt from those laws.
That's usually the way it works.
Hashtag not my
Don't
royal
get me
family.
started on the royal family, okay?
I just don't like the current royal family.
I don't either. I've offended British people because I said they're nothing but a tax burden on the British people.
Well,
They have no power to do shit, and the state still pays for their defense.
Actually, technically, if the Queen wanted to supersede any law, the Queen actually does have the right to say.
No, the Queen has
law,
no power. The Queen has no power to do anything. They're just figureheads. They have in the UK under their the UK Constitution, which by the way is not a written down Constitution, but there is one. The Queen the Queen has absolutely no power to do anything. They are literally just figureheads. The only actual governmental position that Prince Charles technically has was when he was an officer in the Royal Navy. They are figurehead of the state. They have no power for anything.
I'll tell you one thing: Charles ain't gonna be king. He's probably going one of the sons.
Both of whom also serve in the British military.
Well, it's required for the royal family to serve in the military.
No, it's not required. It's just it's tradition.
It's required.
It's not required. It's tradition. There have been other members of the British royal family that didn't serve in the military. I'm trying to remember what the hell was his name. I can't remember the guy's name now, but there was one in the early 20th century that didn't serve in the British military. It's not an absolute requirement. It's a tradition that they do. And that goes back to when the king would actually be out there on the field leading the armies when they were going to battle. It's a long-standing tradition.
You also know whether they're qualified or not. Every single member of the royal family that serves in the military gets an officer's position. Do you know that?
Oh yeah, I can't see the Crown Prince of England being a private. I mean, that's just there's just something wrong with that notion.
That would be hilarious, and I would pay to see that. I would pay to see that.
That would definitely be interesting. How does somebody serve as the commanding officer of the Crown Prince anyway? I mean, really, Prince Charles, I believe, was a lieutenant commander when he was in the military.
You literally have to be a general or something.
Well, no, anybody commander above could give him an order.
Well, in times of war, it doesn't matter what their family is; they have to fight for the queen. Every single one of them. So it doesn't matter.
it's just an interesting thing. I mean, could you imagine how do you react? I mean, you're an admiral, say, and on paper, you're giving an order to a guy who technically outranks you.
He only outranks you because he was born into a family that's
Yeah, that doesn't.
royalty.
Yeah,
That
but it
doesn't
doesn't change. We're looking at it from the point of view of this country, right? Look at it from their point of view. How do you reconcile being an admiral and giving an order in the military to your future king?
I don't know. I think we should just drop this topic and talk about all those Canuck fanboys that are going to lose their Canucks in about as soon as those sanctions go into play.
Well, like you were saying, it's not just Canuck. I mean, you got all those over-under shotguns.
Yeah.
You got, what is it, Zenith, who makes the MP5 clones?
MP5 clones.
Yeah.
You've got the ZQI, which again I haven't seen them in Walmart, but again they were selling them straight off of their website for a long while. All that ZQI ammunition is going away.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most of it's dried up anyway.
ZQI might go away whether they do sanctions on the import-export thing or not, because most of the sanctions that are on the table now are military, and ZQI is the military supplier of ammunition to the Turkish military.
Technically, it's made by MKE, the same company that produces the MP5Ks in Turkey, and then exports them to
military. Those aren't used by the Turkish military, so those aren't on the table right now. It's just stuff that's military that's on the table, which would be the ZQI ammo. So that might go away just because of anyway, as the sanctions are written out, without having to be expanded in any way.
You know what else you're going to lose? You're going to lose those AR-15 style shotguns that they semi-auto shotguns that they make.
Yeah, some of them.
Because some of them, aside from the Rock Island one, which is the VR 160 or something like that.
Yeah.
Aside from that one's made in the Philippines, so you'll still have that one. But all the other ones, you're going to have a hard time finding parts because, hey, guess what? You can't import them anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of a wash.
And the cheap, like Stoger, they're made in Turkey, if I remember correctly, aren't they?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, and what's that one budget line that Breda owns? They're made in Turkey.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
Beretta's got backups. If they can't make it in Turkey, they'll make it either in Italy or somewhere else.
It's still, but they still have to get the tolling and stuff going. Right now the manufacturing's in Turkey, so it saves the Turkish manufacturing is cheaper, which is why Breda is able to have that brand at a cheaper cost. If they start having to make it in Italy, the cost is going to go up.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The costs are going up. So again, this whole thing against Turkey, it technically could be seen as backdoor gun control.
Even though I don't think in this case that's the intent. I don't think that's the intent.
That's not the intent. But because Turkey's being douchebags about it, guess what? That's what it ends up as.
Yeah, I think the Russian sanctions were intentionally, especially when they were first put into place under the Obama administration. I fully believe that was because why is it that the weapons were the only thing that was really sanctioned against Russia? Why didn't we sanction anything against their oil and gas or their natural gas exportations or anything like that, which would have really hurt the Russian economy? If we really wanted to do something against Russia for the invasion in Ukraine and Georgia and everything, right? But in this case, it's a totally different situation because the firearms industry in Turkey would hurt them because that's one of their main exports is firearms, because they got all these different companies that contract to the companies in Turkey to make firearms for them.
Yep. I don't get it either. Well,
Anyway, are we ready for a change in topic, or anybody else have anything else they want to add to this real quick?
yeah, I think we better change topic.
I think we pretty much ran this one into the ground. So, next topic to discuss. Okay. Does anybody remember a couple months ago where a woman in Taco Bell got angry at another customer, went out to her car, came back with a knife or a blade of some kind, and slashed his face and almost cut his jugular, almost killing the guy?
Never heard of it.
The worst part is this happened in Kingpin's area, and he doesn't remember. We were talking about it pre-show before you jumped in there, Stacy. So, but nobody remembers that anyway. What happened was she was going off on the counter person, the whatever you want to. What do you call somebody who works a counter at Taco Bell? They're not a waiter
Cashier.
or a waitress. What would be their proper term?
They're still a cashier.
There's cashier.
Yeah, cashier. Okay, we'll call them cashier for a second argument, because that's about the closest thing, right? Is cashier to them.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they still sitting in front of a register taking your order.
Well, it's not even really a register. It's a machine with pictured buttons on it.
Well, that's what most of them have now, anyways. Even grocery stores.
Yeah.
Around here, they're all you still have the keys with the numbers and stuff. You go in some of these fast food restaurants, it's buttons with pictures on it. It's crazy. Anyway, we digress on this point. She gets mad because they're taking too long getting her food, in her opinion. And finally, this guy who's waiting in line, just as long as she's been waiting, it's like, why don't you give it a break and just zip it, or something along those lines. But he definitely said, why don't you zip it, right? So she gets pissed off, huffs out of the store, comes back, walks by the guy with a knife in her hand, or straight blade razor, whatever it was. She had some kind of bladed weapon. Slashes down across the guy's face. If she would have cut any deeper, would have severed his jugular. Okay? She was charged with attempted murder, first-degree assault, and a couple other charges. They pled it down this week. She's getting 7 years on a second-degree assault charge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely think she needs anger management classes.
The reason why the prosecutor says that they gave this is priceless. She has 2 small children. We can't keep her away from her children forever. I'm thinking to myself, if that's the way the mother acts, I don't want the kids around her.
How many kids did the guy whose throat she cut have?
I don't know. The article I read didn't say.
Of
Because
course,
they never worry about the victims. They always worry about the ones that committed the crime. That's the one that matters.
Mm-hmm.
just like Seven Wonders kept saying about that story the other day. And these savage criminals. Hillary Clinton gets a bum rap for calling the people back in the '90s super predators. That's what they are. They're super predators. That woman is a super predator, and she needs to be treated as such.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You go from having a first-degree assault charge, an attempted homicide charge, and a couple of a weapons charge, I think it was, because again, this happened in Maryland. So I believe there was they had some kind of weapons charge on her, and there was something else. I don't remember what it was offhand right now. They pled it down, all that down to a second-degree assault. That's the only charge that she was doing time on, and she got 7.5 years on.
I'm surprised she even got that much. I mean, my aunt was murdered back in the 90s. And her boyfriend, she called police and everything, and they were on their way, and shot her with a shotgun. The shotgun even jammed, and he had to unjam the shotgun and shot her, and he got 10 years, and she died.
Well, I doubt if she's going to serve all 7.5 years. The prosecutor's rationale, when you look at, was that, like I said, she has 2 small children, so we couldn't keep her away from her children. We can't separate families. What? That's a perfect case where the family should be separated. I don't want a woman like that raising children, you know?
Oh yeah,
That's how she treats them.
yeah. I mean, she's getting that angry over a fast food place. I mean, I know how angry children can make you.
I'm sorry, Stacy. What did you say? My daughter came in and was asking me something.
I say, yeah, if she's gonna be that way just over fast food. I mean, imagine how mad your children can make you. I mean,
Yeah. What's she going to do if her kid breaks a lamp or something?
yeah, I've been super, upset with mine at times, but it's not like, kids can be trying, so was to stop her from taking it out on them that way.
Yeah. And the worst part is if you look at her mugshot and stuff, she's all smiling and acting all giddy when in her mugshot and everything. It's disgusting. And apparently, from what was, oh, go ahead, Kinkley.
The problem isn't how she's physically treating her child; it's how she's mentally treating him. Because she's sitting at home telling them that the white man has caused all their problems, or this, that, or social this, or systemic this or that. That's the problem, is the mental abuse that she's putting her kids through. She's raising a bunch of victims who are just going to be violent, nasty criminals just like her.
Yeah, I mean, and like I was getting ready to say, and from all reports, she never once showed any signs of contrition or regret that she did it or anything. This is a person that should have gotten more than 7.5 years from her behavior. And which brings us to the next part of this. Oh, hold on, somebody's at the door. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Really, he's gonna trust us enough to leave?
Yeah, Rick's
Well,
not smart.
it'll be fine.
What kind of copyright strike should we get him? A channel strike?
It's a good thing I'm not here.
I don't think he needs any.
Oh, we could talk about, make sure everybody goes and subs to Gizzard Gary for the Get Gizzard to 1,000. So if you're not
Yeah,
subbed,
we gotta
to
get
Gary, go do that.
Okay, it got really quiet.
It's not really quiet. It's just kind of quiet.
I can't be the only one that does all the talking.
No, you can't. You can't. That's just true.
Why not? We like the sound of your voice.
Well, he likes the sound of it too, though.
True. Well, at least Snob's not on here singing.
Now, wait a second. Wait a second. Just say whatever you want about my voice, but that's a voice you can't talk bad about.
Oh, no.
Bad about
Oh,
it
no.
all I want.
We can talk bad about it as much as we want.
True, you do have the right to do that, but I also have the right to push back.
Well, I don't care if you're pushing back. I'm telling you right now. Yeah.
Snob is a wonderful singer, and I think
No.
everybody on the internet should treat him much better than they do.
No.
You're funny.
You are so delusional.
I'll be
And
right back.
Orange Man good.
Good.
Where is Snobby at?
I'm putting an AR together, I think.
I'm no gun expert, but I think you can put an AR together and be on a live stream at the same time.
Yeah, he just doesn't have enough motivation, and it's he doesn't multitask very well. I should know. I've seen him try to watch videos or be on YouTube or Facebook and drive at the same time. Doesn't work.
Okay, I'm back. What were we talking about?
Snob.
Oh, okay. Well, I heard something about an AR or something. That's what I was trying to figure out.
They asked where he was. I said he was building an AR.
Yeah. Building the ARs are like, people say Legos. I look at it more like an erector set. Because Legos, you don't have pins and screws and stuff. It's more like an erector set.
I remember when the kids were into Legos. There was Legos everywhere.
Oh, man. I don't know what's worse, stepping on Legos or stepping on the four-sided dice that you use for role-playing games.
Well, have you ever seen the Lego movie?
Have I seen the Lego movie? Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. Okay, we know the one that has to have like all their Legos put together like the picture and super glue it and doesn't want it taken apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's that was my 15-year-old. Danielle. Yeah. If you even messed up her Lego building or whatever, she would get so mad.
Yeah, I've known people like that. But, I can see doing that. Like if you have one of the Star Wars sets and you just put the Millennium Falcon or something together, I can see maybe wanting to keep that to where it doesn't come apart.
Yeah. One year, Toys R Us had these ones, and they weren't technically Lego brand. I don't know what brand it was, but they were like $200. I didn't buy it, but they had like the Space Needle, or they had like the actual Smithsonian that you can put together. That would have been awesome to do.
Yeah, my son, he was into the Mega Blocks, which are like Legos, but they had they had this set was like fantasy dragons and stuff, where you would build a castle and then you would have dragons and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was kind of cool.
Yeah, they have some cool ones, and then some of them run up to, quite a few $100.
Yeah,
we're talking about you and your Legos. You and your Legos, how you were mad if anybody took them apart and messed them up.
Oh yeah, my son's dragon sets. I mean, they didn't have a single set that cost $100, but you would buy all the sets and then you would like connect them all together. By the time you were done, you spent a few $100s.
Yeah, that used to be all we bought. Was I think for her and mostly Brayden was Lego stuff. I mean, they have $50, $60 sets for Christmas and stuff, and now they're older and they don't do them anymore.
Yeah, there was an off-brand of too. I don't remember what it was, but they actually had the license and they had Transformers like Lego kind of sets that actually would transform.
Yeah, had a bunch of different ones. Now when I shop for Christmas, I don't even go in the toy aisle unless it's for my nieces.
I go in the toy aisle for me. I mean, I got the proof sitting here. I mean, this is mine. My camera ever turns on. See that?
Yeah, but Rich, we know you don't grow up, so you're not telling anyone anything we don't know.
See, yeah, they had a whole bunch of these. Where like in the garden section, they'll put in Walmart, they'll put like discount toys and stuff. They had a bunch of Star Wars stuff. My son bought me a bunch of these that were marked down to like $2. Chewbacca, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, Yoda.
RuPaul would love that stuff.
Yeah, Travis P11's jealous because I have the re-release of Devastator put together, sitting over there by our stereo.
Well, that's how Travis is.
And then I have Optimus. I have two different Optimus Primes sitting just to the right of me. One is from when the Transformers movies first came out. The No, I'm not talking about the original cartoon. I'm talking about the live action ones. One, that one is a original Gen 1 Optimus Prime, but it's got Pepsi markings on it because it was a contest that Pepsi was giving them away, and I won one of them. And then I have the re-release Optimus Prime over there as well. The re-release Optimus Prime is kind of a letdown though because it doesn't come with a trailer, which is stupid. Why would you re-release Optimus Prime and not do the trailer?
Probably cost.
Yeah. No, I also have 2 Starscreams upstairs and a Hot Rod. And a bunch of the little ones too. Like, oh yeah. Did I forget? Bumblebee. The original style Bumblebee.
No,
Bumblebee.
And then here's Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie.
that's awesome.
Rich, I think you might just need to start a toy channel.
Huh?
I
Start a
think you
toy
might-
channel?
You need to start a toy channel so you can start getting that YouTube money.
Grimlock was always my favorite. Well, one of my favorite. Autobot side, Grimlock was my favorite. And this is actually a newer Grimlock, but it looks very much like the old one. But this one here, if you got the rest of the Autobots, you could actually combine them together to form a bigger robot.
Like Voltron?
More like Devastator.
Oh.
Because remember, Voltron's not really a robot. He's a giant mecha.
I would argue that giant mecha are robots.
They're not robots.
They're totally robots.
They're not. No. Mecha aren't robots. They're not self-aware or anything. They have to be controlled by a human. A robot is fully independent and doesn't have to be controlled by a human. They have their own intelligence.
Rich, the only thing left to happen.
So with that in mind, Voltron is not a robot.
Voltron's
Just like
totally a robot.
No, Voltron's not a robot. Voltron does not have his own intelligence. Though sometimes Keith could be rather stupid. Well, no, that's neither here nor there.
Wait a minute, what?
Wait, what? No, nobody remembers Voltron cartoon? Come on. Keith was the Black Lion.
All right.
Basically, he was the one when it turned into Voltron, basically controlled everything. The other ones were just there for the ride.
What was that other one I'd like to watch? Yeah. I forget. So I got something the other day. I'm not sure why I got it, but I got it. I still can't afford one, but eventually I'll be able to buy one. I went and got a subscription to or a membership to the Garand Collectors Association.
Who?
So that maybe one day I could order a Garand. Or Garand, or however people want it said.
Garand, it's Garand. Do you have? I thought they did away with the requirement where you had to be a member of something else before you get them.
They did not. You have to be a member of a club or a shooting club. You also, but again, I don't have to. One of the requirements is you have to be in a club. You also have to show proof of shooting, shooting sports. And CCW is one of those requirements. So, because I've got a concealed weapons permit and I'm part of a club now, I could essentially go and order a Garand if I had the money for it. I don't, of course, but again, baby steps.
Some of those that they're selling, I don't see them being worth the price that they're selling them for because of the condition they're in. I mean, people really, oh, but you never know. This could have been used. This. Yeah, you never know. It could have just been sitting in a warehouse this whole time it's been around. I mean, you have no way of knowing for sure where that rifle would have been and not have been used.
The only one I'm going to get, if I get one, is a field grade because I don't want it to be super pretty. I don't want a sniper version because, if I'm going to put a scope on it, I'm going to do it myself. Okay. And quite honestly, I don't want to pay the prices for either of the scope, the service. What do they call them? The service grade or the what was it? The sniper grade. I don't want those. I want a field grade. I want one that can go out, get in the mud, get a little dirty, take it home, clean it up, and use it again. That's what I'm getting it for. I'm not getting it for a showpiece or to sit in someone's safe to collect dust or just sit there.
Yeah, it's like, did you see how rough the 1911s that they were bringing in were, and the prices they were charging for them? Like,
yeah, yeah. I'm happy with my ATI/Rock Island. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
I don't need a $900 used 1911 that has problems because it's got too much slack.
Yeah, I mean, I can see maybe for if it were in better condition because of just the cold factor of something. Hey, you know what? This may have actually been carried in World War II, or that kind of thing. But the condition some of those were in, $900 for something that's rusted, all covered in rust and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, that's just that seems excessive. I mean, I get the whole heritage and when the weapons were from and this, that, and the other, but some of those 1911s that were made during World War II weren't exactly the best 1911s ever made either.
No, again, if you want one that defeated the Nazis or the Japanese, then those 1911s would be the ones that have done it.
Except you have no guarantee that they were. They could have been sitting in a warehouse somewhere from the time they came off the plant until they were shipped to Korea and never saw service in Korea either.
That's true, but again, you don't know that they weren't.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't know that they were. It's more what you don't know that's the problem than what you do know. So
if they were made for the United States government put them in warehouses for the last 80 years, okay, and did not take them out and use them for any wars or anything, and they were just sitting there, then yes, it's valid that they probably aren't worth $900. They're probably worth, maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah. The problem is you can't prove any provenance on these because they didn't keep the records of any of that. So you could get one that was, but you would never be able to prove it. You could get one that wasn't. You could say it was. Nobody would ever be able to prove it. That's the problem with these guns. They bring them into this country and you get these collectors. Oh, this is this from this year. This could have been this, that, and the other. Yeah, could have been. You got any proof to prove it? No. Well, then it ain't worth anything. What a 1911 would be. You have no way of proving any of it.
It's worth the standard. If it's stamped a Colt, that's worth the standard 1911 Colt price, which is usually around.
It's not worth anything more than what a standard one would be because you can't prove through provenance whether it was used here, there, or anywhere.
But you also have to factor it is the United States military surplus, though. That's one of the kickers right there. But it's U.S. military surplus, so.
Yeah, there's all kinds of U.S. military surplus firearms. It doesn't mean that increases the value. You get a military surplus M9, it doesn't. You're not paying anywhere near as much as you would for a new one.
Well, I don't understand. Why aren't they selling the M9s off now that they got all the P320s?
Well, because they still haven't completely phased out the M9 yet. Give it time. But and again, I don't see the military surplus M9s being worth more than what the regular M9s are. They're a brand new one's still going to cost you probably still going to cost you more than what the surplus one would. So
Yeah. That's what it's looking like.
Jason Stewart has like kind of a point out there. Darth Vader never paid child support, and his kids just cause trouble all across the universe.
You also have the.
On things. He's not completely wrong.
He's not completely wrong, but again, his kids also didn't know Darth Vader was their dad.
Well, by the time they started causing havoc over the universe, they did.
No, they only found out about it later.
Well, Luke found out about it in the second movie. Yeah. So
I don't know. I think in the second movie, Darth Vader was more surprised that he had a kid, than anyone. It's like, wait a minute, I thought my wife died.
No, Vader knew he had kids. He just didn't know who they were.
No. See, he didn't know that Padme had given birth because Palpatine told him that that the children had perished as well. Remember?
Yeah, he didn't know who they were, if they were still around. If you pay attention, he still had his doubts about what Palpatine had told him. So there's like little things under. Because as soon as Vader saw Luke, you could see even in the first movie, he was starting to sense something.
Something's not right here.
Yes. The whole line in the first movie, he feels a presence he hasn't felt in, was he referring to Obi-Wan or his children? Specifically Luke, because he would have known something right away off of Leia. Makes you wonder.
Well, it
Especially
depends
when in the second movie.
It also depends on how much he paid attention to Padme before all that. If he really truly paid as much attention as he did when he was Darth Vader. With the Force and all that.
Yeah. Because it's kind of funny that when you add up the presence I haven't felt since, and then in the second movie, he knows right away Luke is his son. Was he beginning to put the pieces together in the first movie when he said that line? Because remember, everybody always thinks that line's referring to Obi-Wan. What if it's not? What if it's actually referring to Luke? And nobody ever just caught on to that fact. And then when he was chasing Luke through the Death Star before Luke blows it up, you put all the pieces together, it starts to wonder if he was starting to piece all that together in the first movie. Anyway, now we're going down to Super Nerd Chat.
Well,
This is what happens when people come to your door in the middle of a chat, folks. Things get derailed a little bit.
Who came to your door? Anybody important?
It was my daughter's roommate.
Uh-oh.
Kelly said it smells like sewage.
The dorm room doesn't smell good?
Huh?
The dorm room doesn't smell good, huh?
Well, it's not a dorm room. They got an apartment in the same complex we live in. They have the place where we live has 2 and 3 bedroom townhouses. They're renting one of the. They're renting one of the 2 bedroom townhouses, and their sink or something is backing up, and they got a sewage smell in their apartment. They went away to a comic convention. I think it was in Charleston, West Virginia this weekend, and they came back and there's like this odor in their apartment. They're trying to figure out what's coming from.
I know where Charleston, West Virginia is. Thank you.
Some people don't. Gotta speak for the audience too. Not just you.
Well, when your grandfather's family was originally from West
Yeah.
Virginia, you kind of know.
Yeah, that's the capital city of West Virginia for those of you out there who don't know. But yeah, they had this comic convention up there, and it was
And
a
also, if
comic.
you play a lot of Fallout 76, you also know.
There's comic people there from different comics and anime people and stuff like that. My daughter's all excited because she got one of the androids from Dragon Ball's autograph. I can't remember which one. She said,
Which one?
I just said I don't remember which one.
Ask her.
She's not here.
Oh,
She just left to go back home. How am I supposed to ask her?
well, you weren't paying attention.
No, I was trying to pay attention to this and her when at the same time. I think she said 16. Android 16.
16, huh?
Yeah, I think it's what she said. But she
Yeah.
got his autograph and
Android 16 was pretty cool.
that was the one with dark hair, right?
That was the one who wore the green outfit and, was hanging around with 17 and 18.
Yeah, he had the short black hair.
No, he didn't have black hair. He had orange hair.
He had orange hair. Oh, was that the big guy that had almost like the mohawk?
Yeah, that was him.
Okay.
Big guy Mohawk usually wore a green outfit.
Yeah.
That's
It's
Android.
been a while since I've watched Dragon Ball Z, trying to remember which one of the androids was which. Now, 17 was the female with the blonde hair that marries Krillin, right?
No, that's 18.
That's 18? Okay.
17 was the black-haired one.
So like 17 was the one with the black hair. Okay.
Yeah. I've watched my fair share of anime. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so have I. It's just trying to keep the androids straight because they all have different numbers, except for Cell. Cell was the only android not to have a number.
Yeah,
All the other-
because Cell was supposed to be the coup de grace. That's why he was given the name Cell instead of a number, because he was the one to absorb them all. Technically, he was only really supposed to absorb 17 and 18, but he probably could have, yes, they were in the movies, but again, he could have probably, absorbed 13, 14, and 15 as well.
No, let's not forget the androids actually started in the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
There was an android 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But there would be no point to absorbing the one that looked like Frankenstein, because there would have been no benefit.
Yeah.
I think that's what, 11, I think?
I don't remember. Like I said, all the numbers all start bleeding together when you get so many of them. Is this android that android? The one that always cracked me up in Dragon Ball during the Cell saga was Mr. Satan. He was a dark curly-haired version of Hulk Hogan, essentially. For anybody who has never watched Dragon Ball Z.
It was Android 8. It was basically Frankenstein.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Android 8 was Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein. Remember, Frankenstein was the real monster who created the monster. But yeah.
Semantics.
Oh, it's an important semantic.
Yeah.
The monster never actually had a name. The monster was just the monster.
Actually, in a movie at one point, I don't remember which one it was. I think it might have been, Van Helsing. The monster actually gave himself the name Michael.
Yeah, well, if you watch Penny Dreadful, the monster was given a name too. But in the Frankenstein novels, the monster never had a name. He was just called the monster.
Yeah.
Anyway, God, we really have got super nerdy chat tonight.
Yeah, we can talk about other stuff too if you want.
Yeah.
I'm just bored because I'm putting stuff together, take care of stuff. I'm not working on the GunTube website right now. I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just take care of everything else.
I had more to talk about when it came to the whole sentence that the woman in Baltimore, somewhere over in that area of Maryland anyway, I don't remember if it was exactly Baltimore, but it was somewhere over that way.
So,
There was more involved with
are
that.
you going to the rally?
I can pretty much say that I am at this point.
All right. Well, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, Stacy doesn't know if her and Snob are going yet, but if they do, Snob said he'll pick me up. And if they can't, Fletcher said he'll pick me up, and then Kingpin said that he'd bring me back. So
'Cause how far is it from you, Kingpin?
it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours at most. DC's not that far from where I am.
Is that right, Kingpin?
Are you talking about my house to Rich's house or my house to DC?
Your house to Rich's house.
Probably about 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
It'll take me just as long to get to Rich's house from DC, or get home from Rich's house, as it will to get from DC back to Rich's.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you wanted, you could, but because you're talking about wanting to hang out in DC for a little bit after the rally, you could always spend the night here. I mean, we got the reclining couch and love seat where you can just, stay here and not have to worry about driving back that night. That'll be up to you, obviously.
What building is the Constitution in? You remember?
It's in the Library of Congress.
Library of Congress.
Or
Is that the one they had? Is that the copy that they have on display? Is that the?
yeah, I believe that's in the Library of Congress. Yeah, or the National Archive. It's either in the Library of Congress or National Archive, which are basically in the same place, if I remember correctly.
Where's the Declaration? Is that also in the same place?
Yeah, the Constitution and the Declaration are in the same place.
So I'd like to see the Declaration.
At least they were, unless they moved things, because they were doing like restoration and stuff, so they may have moved them.
They're always doing restoration.
They're stationed in the archive, but if they're not going to move them to a different building, if they're doing restorations, they'll either shut it down or they'll put out fake copies. But they're not going to.
No, I didn't mean they moved them from that building. I meant that they may have moved them to a different area while they're doing restoration of where that, because they were doing restoration on the cases that they were kept in.
Yeah,
because they have to use special light and stuff.
Right.
if you've not, I mean, not just for the rally, but like if you ever had a chance to take a day vacation or something like that, the mall in Washington is really, really cool. But
yeah,
you got to go on like Wednesday afternoon and some obscure time. If not, it's hard to get to all the places and see everything that you want to see because there's other people there.
Yeah, and be prepared to pay $4 for a cup of lemonade.
Oh yeah. You gotta bring your own stuff.
But I'm telling you, man, that lemonade was damn good. It's like the milkshake in Pulp Fiction. It was good. I don't know if it was $4 good, but it was good.
And you can hop on the metro and in 2 minutes be anywhere you want, basically on Earth. I mean, there's all kinds of food everywhere around DC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you live closer to DC than I do, Kingpin, would you recommend if somebody was going to go to the rally that they get one of those Metro passes?
Yeah. The thing about the metro, when the metro is running and it's operational and it's doing what it's supposed to do, the metro is fantastic because you can hop on the metro. Like for instance, Obnoxious is going to be in Springfield, Virginia. He can get on the metro in Springfield and ride right into DC and get out right underneath the mall. So when you come up underneath the ground, bam, you're right there. And go left or right, either which way you want to go, and see everything that Washington has to offer. Plus, there's 50 different stops, so if you want to stop, just get off the train and go check out this town or go check out this little area where the shops are at or whatever you want to do, and then hop back on the train. It's like a $5-6 or something like that for a pass, maybe not even that much.
Yeah, it's like taking if you ever been to Pittsburgh, it's like taking the T through downtown Pittsburgh. Only
Yeah, the subway in
T
New
is
York.
free within
Well,
downtown Pittsburgh.
Now, they do have a Metro Pass, which gives you access to the buses as well as the train, right?
I don't know about that. I never take buses. Only time for me, if I'm going to go to DC, I'll just drive right into DC. But like if I'm going to take a friend to the Smithsonian or take a friend to like the Washington Monument or something like that, and they've never been, I always take them to the closest metro station so they can get the experience of riding the metro as well. But I've never got on any of the buses.
So when are you getting there?
I'll probably be there like first thing in the morning. I'll drive right into DC and park somewhere and then just hang out until people show up. Because I think the rally starts at like 1 o'clock or something like that, or 11. I don't remember.
Right.
Jason Stewart out there, I don't know if you saw Kingpin, said he'll cover the gas money for you to bring me back home for your generosity.
Yeah, Jason, I'll talk about that later. He knows I'm not going to let that ride. But that's. I'll talk about how cool Jason is off air. I'm not going to embarrass him by going through that right now.
No. Why don't we talk about how cool Jason is on air? Because he's really helped out with GunTube, and he is one of those unsung heroes of GunTube right now. So, we have to talk about Jason, but nothing but nice things. Because if anybody says anything bad about Jason, I got his back.
Yeah, indeed. Jason, literally, like if you looked up, take the shirt off your back in the dictionary, it's Jason Stewart. He literally is the kind of guy who would take the shirt off his back and give it to you.
Hey, I got something bad to say about Jason Stewart.
No.
Cleveland. Yes, I do. He's a Cleveland Browns fan.
Yeah, but you got to think about it.
That's what.
But he's loyal to it.
That's just as bad as being a Cubs fan. That's just as bad as being a Cubs fan, and they won a World Series not too long ago. So, cut him some slack.
All right, who's talking about the Cubs now?
That was Night Strike.
Really?
Come on, it's the Cubs.
Hey, that was my first ever stadium that I ever went to. So, yeah. I don't care how bad they do. I will always be a Cubs fan.
I think that's everybody who really loves baseball. Yes, you have your teams, but there's that love for the guys that have been going on, that have been fighting and playing for like over 100 years, and they still keep going even though they lose almost every year.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that. I'm an Orioles fan. We win all the time.
Orioles haven't been good since they had Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah, I just looked up at my TV, okay, because I got the Steeler game on. They are beating
the Browns,
the Chargers. No, the Chargers, 21-0 with a third string quarterback.
The Chargers?
Mm-hmm. The Steelers are beating the Chargers 21-0, and the Steelers have a third string quarterback starting for them this week.
The Chargers ever been good?
Well, the Chargers usually have a decent defense. It's the offense sometimes that gets in trouble. But it's 20. Yeah. But come on, man. The Steelers are using a third string quarterback right now.
Yeah.
The Chargers should be able to do something to stop the Steelers from scoring.
So,
but yeah, I mean that's pretty bad if you're getting beat 21-0 by a team whose starting quarterback is their third string quarterback.
But Rich, we're gonna have to talk about off air about how you need to apologize to Jason.
Jason knows I'm joking with him. We were talking about Cleveland and stuff, the Browns and stuff last week. He knows I'm just messing with him.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding around about this. You're gonna have to apologize.
Uh-huh. Seven Wonder says the first stadium he was at was Three Rivers Stadium. Interesting. I actually played high school football in Three Rivers Stadium. I've been to Pitt Stadium before too. But the Horseshoe, no. Now, Seven, you are an Ohio State fan. How is it you end up in Pitt Stadium before the Horseshoe? You're going to have to explain that one. Sports is my life. It's war now, Jason Stewart says. Oh, man. Hey,
See, you're gonna have to apologize to Jason.
now, I was going to say to him, I'm sorry that it looks like the Browns season might be over.
That'll probably be about as easy as me apologizing to Snob for anything, which has never happened.
No, we were just talking about last week about how good the Browns could potentially be this season, and then Baker Mayfield gets hurt this week.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yep.
I don't follow football that much, but I got a notification about that one.
Injured his hip in the third quarter of their game against who the hell was it they were playing? Was it Baltimore?
Might have been.
Which, if it was,
Did we lose Rich?
I guess he should have apologized.
He's back. He's back. We didn't lose him.
yeah, I'm back. He says Browns are just playing for the first pick again, because that's worked so well for them in the past. Yeah. You know, it's the Ravens' fault that the Steelers are playing with a third string quarterback this week. So anyway, but yeah, Jason knows I'm just messing with him on the Browns because like I said, we were talking about last week. Last week we were actually ganging up on Kingpin because of Kingpin being in Baltimore, and Baltimore stole our rivalry.
You leave Kingpin alone. I got Kingpin's back too.
Yeah, you tell him, Nudge Frank.
You know, we had the rivalry of Interstate 79, and then Baltimore had to come along and just take the original Browns and turn them into birds.
It's Baltimore.
Yeah, but think about it though. Baltimore had the CFL team or whatever it was, the Stallions, and they won the World Cup. Since Baltimore's had the Ravens, they've won the Super Bowl twice. I think they were doing a lot better than Cleveland was doing.
Well, Cleveland got close a couple of times to getting to the Super Bowl. But then there was a guy named John Elway that always put the dash on their hopes. Of course, that was back in the 80s. So. But Cleveland still was competitive the first iteration before Art Modell moved them to Baltimore. Remember, the team that ultimately won the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl that Baltimore won with the Ravens won in Baltimore, that was the Cleveland team from a couple years ago. Before that, I mean, it was the same guys essentially. Ray Lewis was originally a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, but you can't forget about Kyle Bowler.
I had. Well, yeah, okay.
Is he a cousin of yours, Kingpin?
Shoot, I wish.
No, he was Baltimore's quarterback. Cleveland has a reason to be pissed off at Baltimore. I mean, think about it. It was the same front office and everything when Art Modell moved the team. If they would have never moved from Cleveland, Cleveland would have won that Super Bowl. Now Jason's really going to get pissed off out there, and he's going to be up there like, "Hey, wait a minute, that's right." Jason could have jumped in here and talked about all this, but he's got a link. Where did you play last year? California Penal. Sorry, making a comment about your comment out there in the YouTube chat there, Kingpin. What league did you play in last season? California Penal. So do you got a name, or are they just going to call you Veghead?
What?
Huh?
Who?
What? Charlie Sheen. Kingpin made a comment out there about Major League.
Oh, Major League, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Vince Vaughn?
Yeah. Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen.
Like, or what was it? One of the guys was a voodoo guy from.
Yeah, the guy from the Allstate commercials.
Yeah, the voodoo guy. Is like he wants a live chicken. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to the nearest KFC. You're gonna get a fried chicken, and you're gonna give it to him.
Yeah.
You think that'll work? I think it'll work.
Yo, bartender, Joe Boo needs a refill. And whack, gets a bat in the back of the head. The guy taking batting practice loses his grip on the bat right after he says that, just flies and hits him right in the back of the head. That was a funny movie.
Yeah, Willie Mays Hayes.
American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
I always like, where are you going? About 90 feet.
About 90 feet.
Right?
And then that was followed up with, come on, because he slid like a foot too short of the bag.
Mm-hmm. Great catch. Don't you ever effing do it again. When he did the Willie Mays basket catch. Gets back to the dugout, gets told off by the manager. This chat's died real quick.
Yeah, I'm reading something because I had an idea, and I don't want anyone to,
Well,
capitalize on it. Cat says meow, by the way.
yeah.
It's very important.
Cats do that.
Yeah. I miss my cat.
Yeah, we know. You tell us every show you're on, but I can understand why.
Every time someone mentions a cat or a cat is heard, that's why I mention it, because I miss him.
Another one of our cats are in the room right now. Oops, 24-0 now.
Hey, my cat would hang out with me when I would put together an AR-15 or clean a gun or something. He'd be right next to me. So,
The new little shit likes to attack the sling on my shockwave.
well,
Constantly yelling, "Leave that alone!"
Yeah, well, my daughter's cat likes to get behind my computer chair. I'm at my desk and start pawing and playing my ponytail on my hair.
Yeah, my wife changed the new cat's name. We were going to call him Ranger, but he keeps following her everywhere, so now she's decided that his name is Shadow now. Even though he's like off-white in color because he's part Siamese.
Well, I had a half Malamute, half wolf. His name was Shadow.
Storm Shadow.
I asked her if it's Shadow with an E or W. She's like, "What's that matter?" Well, I'm trying to figure out if you named it after Shadow Stevens. And she just gave me a look like she didn't know who Shadow Stevens was. Anybody who's watched Hollywood Squares in the 80s and 90s knows who Shadow Stevens is, right? He was the center square. And the announcer for the show.
That was a pretty good show.
but then there was a time where Whoopi was the middle too.
That was later.
Yeah.
That was the new iteration, in fact.
Yeah.
Where Tom Bergeron was the host.
Yeah.
Shadow Stevens was the center square when was it John Davidson? I want to say his name was the host. It's been a while. I think that's who the host was. Oh man, Steelers just punted, and the Chargers muffed the punt, and Steelers recovered it on like the 5-yard line.
I don't care. You do not need to give me a play-by-play.
Yes, I do, because it was funny. He calls fair catch, muffs the punt, and Steelers recover it. Dear Lord. It's not the Chargers' night, that's for damn sure. You're playing the team with their third-string quarterback in there, and you're getting your asses handed to you. And we're getting Seven's life history when it comes to what stadiums he's been in. They're on the YouTube chat.
Well, that's 7 for you.
Yep, that was his name. I was trying to remember it. 7. Yep, John Amos. That was the guy that played the father on Good Times, and He also was Will Smith's father-in-law on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He married his daughter on the show. Let's see what else? He was in Beastmaster, the movie Beastmaster with Mark Singer. If you guys remember that one, the villain was what's his face? God damn it, I can't think of his name now. The one that was in charge in Men in Black, the main, the one that played, the hell was his name? I can't remember his damn name now.
We're not having
Rip Torn.
intergalactical kegger here.
Yeah, that guy.
Rip Torn.
Yes, that's it. And speaking of people named Rip Taylor, the walking glitter bomb, died. If you guys remember who Rip Taylor is, had the big mustache, always threw glitter everywhere. The comedian. Yeah.
I don't think I ever
You
heard
never
of
heard of Rip Taylor.
No, not him. No.
How could you watch any of the old TV shows from like the 60s and 70s and not see Rip Taylor?
I just didn't see his episodes. Wow. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
He had a really popular Vegas show too.
Oh.
He had the Cesar Romero style mustache going. Only his was bushier than Cesar Romero's was. If they would have had him playing Joker, he definitely would have had to cut his mustache off because it was way too. They weren't covering it with makeup like they did Cesar Romero's.
Yeah, Cesar Romero did have a mustache, didn't he?
Yeah, he refused to shave his mustache for the part of the Joker, so they just put the makeup on over top of his mustache.
You never really noticed.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, my daughter.
They were able to do it really good.
Which Dice Strike was wondering which android it was that you got the autograph.
I got Android 17.
It's 17.
Chuck Huber.
It was 17. I had the right appearance, wrong number.
Yeah, I got Chuck Huber's autograph on my wallet.
So there you go.
Awesome.
He was really sweet too and everything.
Yeah, so I guess we got to say rip to rip.
Rip to rip. No, I think we're good.
No, rest in peace, Rip Taylor. Rip the rip. Yeah, he was on the Tonight Show a lot too, as both a guest and doing stand up. I mean, he was a funny guy. He was a little odd, but he was funny. I mean, he had a thing for throwing glitter at people. I mean, when I said he was a walking glitter bomb, it's exactly what he was. I mean, he would throw glitter and confetti everywhere. I'm sure Seven out there knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure he remembers. He just had like a bag or a bucket of glitter, and he would just throw it everywhere. That was part of his shtick, throwing that stuff everywhere. And Seven says that he was popular when he was a little Seven. Was his real name Rip? I don't know if that was his real name or not, Jason. I couldn't tell you. But there are other people that Rip was their name, so it very well could have been his real name. Could have been a stage name, could have been his real name.
His name was Charles.
Huh?
His real name was Charles.
Okay. His real name was Charles. There you go. David is practicing the Google foo.
No, I actually knew that one. I just couldn't get to the mute button fast enough.
Likely story.
That was a Jeopardy question about 2 months ago.
Kingpin says, yeah, Rip had a, did I say Kingpin? Seven Wonders said, yeah, Rip had a great laugh and smile and silly personality. He just made you laugh. Yeah, he was like watching a big kid almost, He was a clown without the makeup.
He's a flamboyant gay guy.
Yeah, we know that too.
Well, I mean, that's how he
But
acted.
in a funny
I
way.
mean, everybody knows what flamboyant gay guys act like.
Yeah, but he did it in a funny way. He wasn't doing it in the annoying way.
Yeah, sure, because nobody cared about that kind of stuff. When you were a kid watching Rip Taylor run through and he'd pull the little pop guns and, like you said, sparkle would go everywhere, and then he'd reach in his bag and dump glitter all over people. Nobody cared about whether he was gay or not. He was just having fun.
And it was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
When he dumped a whole bag of glitter over John Wayne's head during Dean Martin's roast, that was freaking hilarious.
Yeah, everybody thought John Wayne was going to kill him.
Yeah, everybody thought John Wayne was going to kill him, and then Wayne just breaks out in this belly laugh. It was just, then everybody else just starts laughing their asses off. It was just funny. And the best part, there was nothing vulgar about it or anything either. It was just it was family friendly, good, wholesome laughter. You know what I mean? Don't get a lot of that anymore, sadly. Like Dave Chappelle's latest special. Yeah, it was funny as hell, but would you want to sit down with your small children and watch it? Okay, no responses from anybody.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, and plus, it's probably better than some of the alternatives. Some of the stuff that the kids are watching without you.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the language mostly. I mean, Chappelle can be funny without the swearing, but in his latest special, there was a lot of the swearing. I mean, you can sit down with your kids and watch like the Chappelle show, but do you want to sit down and watch one of his comedy specials? That's a different situation. It's like watching Jeff Dunham on Comedy Central where they censor out the bad language. Okay, cool. But when you watch Jeff Dunham when he's not censored, and you got Peanut dropping F-bombs. I mean,
Now, Bob Saget, right there, that's some family-friendly comedy.
until you watch one of his comedy specials.
Right, yeah, exactly. I lost my mind the first time I heard Bob Saget do a comedy show.
Oh man!
Because I was thinking Danny Tanner. I was like, man, this is gonna
Yeah,
suck.
Danny Tanner or
And
Bob Saget on America's Funniest Home Videos or something, right?
yeah, geez, man. When I first heard him, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. My grandmother, right, when I was real little, she went to Vegas, and she went to go see Buddy Hackett in concert, right? Everybody knows Buddy Hackett, the big lovable goofball from the Herbie movies and a bunch of other stuff, right? Oh my God! She said she got up and walked out because her face was so red because of how vulgar he was in concert. She's like, "This is not that was not the guy we watched in the Love Bug movies."
All right, I think I'm gonna head out, Rich. I'll see you later.
All right, catch you later.
Take it
See
easy.
you later, nice try.
Later, Kingpin. Later, Stacy.
Later, hon.
Yeah. Jason Stewart says Chappelle used to be hilarious. nowadays you can't be funny without somebody getting butthurt. Well, yeah, if you look at his Chappelle's latest show, you look at you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you look at the critics rating, it's like 10% or lower, right? But then you look at the audience ratings, normal everyday person on the street rating of it, and it's like in the upper 90s because he was totally non PC in that special. The bit he did on abortion had me rolling. I don't know if any of you saw it, but that was funny. He basically called pro-choice people hypocrites without calling them hypocrites. He just skirted all around that little thing, but by bringing up, well, the whole it's my right if I don't want to have the baby, and he was like, yeah, well, it's my right not to pay child support then if you do, that whole kind of thing, and it was just hilarious, and he gets all these women and stuff cheering for him, and they don't even realize what the hell he's saying. Because when he started the bit, he's like, I'm not against abortion. Then or I'm not for abortion, and he goes, but I'm not against it either. It all depends on who I get pregnant, and then it goes from there, right? And he's getting all these cheers because you got all these women in the crowd were thinking that he was going to come out and do this whole pro-abortion thing and everything, right? But if you actually pay attention to the bit, he's actually talking about how he's really not in favor of abortion. And it's like the whole thing just went completely over their heads, and it was fun. I think that was what made it even funnier, that you had all these people in the crowd cheering, and I don't think half of them understood what he was actually saying. If you think Aunt Esther was bad, Seven, you should have you ever watched one of Red Fox's comedy shows? Good Lord. People think that George Carlin had a dirty mouth. Man, there's people that you wouldn't believe who had some colorful language in their comedy shows.
You ever heard of Jerry Clower?
I may have, but don't remember him offhand right now. What's really funny is back in the 60s and maybe the late 50s, Lenny Bruce was always getting in trouble for his shows being vulgar and stuff, right? Lenny Bruce is tame by today's standards.
Yeah, as long as you can say, I mean, if you want to say something foul and disgusting, as long as it's not slightly funny, then you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, Amy Schumer.
Well, any female comic. There's not one funny female comic out there.
No. There used to be, but not anymore.
No.
Yeah. You remember Coach with Greg T. Nelson, right?
Yeah.
The one that played Dauber's girlfriend on the show, that tall, skinny chick. She was a stand-up comedian before she got on there, and she was freaking hilarious. Can't remember her damn name. She was hilarious in doing stand-up and stuff. Anymore, every female stand-up, it's the same damn thing. And at this point, it's like, you know what? I don't want to hear about your damn period. I don't want to hear about how many goddamn guys you screwed last night. That's all it is with female comics. That's all it is.
They're not funny.
No,
if you're gonna make a joke
not
about
in
your
the least.
AJ, make it funny. If you wanna crack a joke about your period and your menstrual cramps and how many guys you banged in the parking lot before the show, make it funny.
Yeah, I'm not a big Roseanne fan, but Roseanne Barr, when she would tell those kinds of jokes, she made them funny. You don't get that anymore. You get these women comics today, they think just being a woman, being up there telling some bad joke about this, that, and the other makes her funny. And people are supposed to, if you don't laugh at her, it's because you're sexist.
Well, you remember the meme, leftist can't meme?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Leftists are not funny. Amy Schumer's not funny because she's a radical leftist. Sarah Silverman, all of them.
Sarah Silverman used to be funny, is the worst part.
Uh,
Keyword there, used to be funny. When she was first starting out doing stand up, she was freaking hilarious. But she went down the same train all the other women comics did. She's not funny anymore.
Rich, there he's back.
Yeah. Internet's acting up again. Yay. Ever since we had that last series of storms come through, what was it? Like a week and a half ago? Our internet has been so dodgy. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. All female comics aren't funny. They really aren't. Did you? I know you said you haven't watched any of Steven Crowder's live stuff. But did you watch one? What was it, a year ago when Amy Schumer brought out her um, Netflix special and Steven Crowder watched it live? They're doing like a live reaction show to it, and the looks on his. I think this was back when Not Gay Jared was still on the show, doing the producer thing, and man, you could just tell that they were more disgusted than entertained by it. You get to see on their face how unfunny it was. Jason Stewart says, "Make America funny again." Well, when you got the problem is when you got people afraid, literally afraid to tell a joke because they're afraid that they are going to offend somebody. Humor goes right out the window with it, which is why you've got a lot of stand-up comedians now just going off on their audiences for the audience's shit. There's a couple of them in the past couple of weeks that have been in the news because they just went off and told the audience off because the audience would give them grief about a joke they just told because it wasn't it was offensive. How dare you tell that joke? And, one thing, if you got a good stand-up comedian and you start heckling them, they'll heckle you right the hell back. Or if you say something about how their jokes are uh, offensive or something like that, they will go off on you. And when they do, it's freaking hilarious because they will make the person giving them grief look like a complete and total moron.
Most of the time they are.
Oh yeah, I would say more than most of the time, like the vast majority of the time. Oh, looky there, the Chargers finally got a field goal. Anyway. Okay, 7 says Eliza Schlesinger, I guess that's how you pronounce it, is funny and very enjoyable to look at. Never heard of her. And that's probably why. I mean, if she's funny and not that to look at, that's probably why you never heard of her. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just the way it is. She's not out there. She's probably not out there spewing the leftist dogma as part of her comedy act. So. That's another thing you get with the female comics a lot too, is they're agenda driven. Women are great, men are bad kind of jokes too. Right after they tell a joke about how many men they slept with the night before. So, well, how did we get on a rant about female comics? We're talking about how Rip Torn died, and not Rip Torn, Rip Taylor died, and all of a sudden we're just tearing down women comics.
Easy target.
Yeah. Now, Stacy, you've been quiet again. What do you think about women comics? Do you find them funny, or do you find them just as detestable as we do?
I haven't really listened to a lot of female comics as much. I mean, I have in the past, but there's only 2 comics that I really ever watch shows on or whatever.
Are you talking about comics or comic books?
Comedians. And that's usually Gabriel Iglesias and who's that other one? The one with the I'll think of the other one here in a second. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. Fluffy's funny. Yeah, Fluffy's funny, and the best part is, Gabriel Iglesias. The thing about him is he doesn't go super over the top vulgar either. You can sit down and watch one of his comedy specials with your kids,
Yeah. I think the other one's Jeff Dunham. I think.
Yeah, Jeff Dunham's freaking hilarious.
Not a comedian.
He's still a comedian. He's hilarious.
Jeff Dunham makes puppets look cool.
Yeah. I went and seen him once, I don't know, years ago. My daughter she's 15 now, and she was only like 2 or 3 then. Went and seen him, me and my sisters and stuff, in Springfield, Missouri. It was a really fun show.
I think my favorite puppet of his is Walter. I can relate to Walter.
Yeah, I like Walter too. Other than that, it's Peanut.
Yeah.
I like the Hillbilly Kids now.
Ahmed is good too. I like Ahmed.
Oh yeah, what is that hillbilly one? What is his name?
Oh, Bubba J.
Yeah, Bubba J.
I like him.
Remember when they had the black version of Bubba J? The
pimp guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either, but his character was that he was a pimp.
And jalapeno on a stick was that his name?
Jose Jalapeno on a stick. The joke where Peanut's talking about how they got trapped in an avalanche, and Jeff Dunham asked him, "Well, what did you guys have to eat? Did you have any food?" And Peanut looks at him and says, "Yeah, a jalapeno," and then you just hear makes it sound like it's coming from the case. You bastard.
Yeah. Those are the 2 main ones I ever watched clips on or stuff like that. But I remember they used to have Last Comic Standing. I used to watch that show, which is actually where Iglesias actually started his thing, was on that show.
Now, Gary, we're not talking about middle school age kids. We're talking young kids, little kids. You don't want to sit down and watch a, Dave Chappelle special with your little kids. Gabriel Iglesias, you can sit down and watch a Gabriel Iglesias special with your little kids. My teenage kids, they're in their 20s now. I had no problem sitting down and watching something like that with them. But when they were younger, I wasn't putting Dave Chappelle on and watching that with them in the room. Oh man, the one that when we watched his special that got my wife's face all red was the early 2000s. We watched a Robin Williams special on HBO. Her face was beat red. It was hilarious. No, Gary, I specifically said when they were little. No, I don't mean grandkids. My kids don't have any kids. Gary's out there trying to be Midnight Range at this point.
Well, I mean, Midnight's not here, so someone's got to pick up that post.
Yeah, Midnight was here earlier. And he's probably over there trying to get his stuff together, which he still hasn't done. And maybe that's why Nice Drake had to take off to walk him through how to get the chamber set up or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, in your case, Gary, yeah, you might not want to sit down with your 7-year-old and put Dave Chappelle's latest special on. Yeah. Gabriel Iglesias might be a better choice. Oh, I just remembered what one of my favorite bits was. I think it was on the Christmas special. The one year, it was Jeff Dunham, Ahmed, and Guitar Guy. And by the way, in case anybody out there doesn't know this, Guitar Guy is the father of the guitarist for what band is it now? What band is Guitar Guy's son in? I can't remember the name of the band now.
Oh, I remember that, but I'm trying to think who it is too.
I just had it and then I lost it when I went to say it. Avenged Sevenfold. Guitar Guy's son is the guitarist for Avenged Sevenfold. And Guitar Guy is actually played on Avenged Sevenfold albums. But anyway, what was I going to say? Okay, yeah, it was the three of them, right? And they're all talking, and Jeff Dunham flubs his line and says something about him having scoliosis or something where he was trying to say he had two different things but screwed it up and said it was something else. And Ahmed just looks at him and says, "What the fuck is whatever it was?" And Guitar Guy just loses it right then and there.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was hilarious. I mean, he thought on his feet so fast when he flubbed that line that he just made it look like it was part of the skit, you know? And it wasn't because of Guitar Guy's reaction.
Yeah.
Because it totally caught Guitar Guy off guard. You could tell, but his reaction was too natural to have not been that he was caught off guard by it, you know? Oh, man. Gary brings up about Howie Mandel. Yeah, the stories Howie Mandel did of Bobby's World as a stand-up comic would never have made it into the cartoon. Like the ones where he's doing the Bobby voice and he talks about how he walked in on his parents having sex. That would have never have made it into the cartoon. That was something that would never have been on Bobby's World. Which the cartoon in and of itself was funny enough. Somebody else that was funny before they watered him down and made it into a kid's show was Pee-wee's Playhouse. When that was on HBO and it was an adult show. The one episode, him and his buddy were walking around with mirrors on their shoes so they could look up girls' skirts and stuff. That was freaking hilarious. A lot of people don't realize that Pee-wee's Playhouse started out as an adult comedy show on HBO.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the actual movies, but
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen that.
yeah, he got popular because of his show on HBO, and they decided to water it down and turned it into a kids show. Yeah, that Pee Wee's Playhouse, when it was the adult show on HBO, it was on. I think it was on right after, not necessarily the news, if you remember that one, the news parody show that HBO used to have.
Yeah.
It was on. I think it was on after that, but it was hilarious. And once they watered it down and turned it into the kid show and started adding some of the other characters into the show, it yes, Pee Wee's Playhouse started getting annoying at that point, because originally it didn't have the genie or whatever it was whose head was in the box and stuff like that. It was just Pee Wee and his buddy, and they were at basically what any kid would have as a playhouse, where it was just like a shed kind of thing where you had some furniture and stuff like that. He didn't have the talking chair and anything like that, and it was just funny stuff. And Gary brings up, anybody remember Andrew Dice Clay? Yeah. How could you forget the Dice Man? Come on. Andrew Dice Clay was, he was on the dirty side, but even when he would clean up his act, when he would be like on the Tonight Show or something, he was funny. No way in hell was he politically correct, but he was funny. Jason Stewart brings up Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks was the king of funny. One of the funniest comedy skits ever is Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner doing the 1,000-Year-Old Man. That is still freaking hilarious as all hell. That's right up there with like Abbott and Costello, Who's on First, It's one of those all-time classic comedy bits that'll never grow old. I mean, you can watch that today. You can put a kid down in front of a TV, put either one of those on, the Who's on First or the 1,000-Year-Old Man on TV, and the kid will sit there and laugh at it because it's just funny. We want to talk funny movies. I think my all-time favorite comedy is Arsenic and Old Lace with Cary Grant. If you've seen that one, that's the one where his aunts are poisoning people.
I don't think I've seen that one. I see they're talking about Porky's. I loved all the movies of Porky's.
You've never seen Arsenic and Old Lace? If you get a chance to see that movie, do it. It is hilarious.
Yeah, I'll have to look for it. I don't think I have.
It's an old black and white movie, but it is funny. His aunts are poisoned. They have this big old house. It's just the two of them and the crazy nephew who thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt. Anyway, I can tell you this part without giving away what happens in the rest of the movie. It's not a major spoiler. I mean, you find this out just reading like the write-ups in the newspaper or like TV Guide when they used to give the write-ups on the movie, the info on it. Anyway, they're poisoning old guys who they think are lonely and then burying them in their basement. It is hilarious. Yeah. Gary says, yes, seen the movie and saw it on stage. Yeah. The part of the evil nephew was originally played by Boris Karloff. He couldn't do the movie because he was actually still doing it on stage and on Broadway. So they put in jokes about the killer looking like Boris Karloff in the movie itself. So yeah, that's if he's talking about the same movie. Because I don't know if he's talking about Arsenic Old Lace or Ford Fairlane. Jason Stewart says about Ford Fairlane, great movie. Then Gary, I don't know. So then Gary says, yes, seen the movie and saw it on stage. I don't know if he was talking to me or if he was talking to Jason Stewart. But anyway, Arsenic and Old Lace, great movie. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's funny. Cary Grant is just like going out of his mind trying to figure out what the hell to do when he finds out what's going on with his aunts. It's hilarious. Cary Grant's facial expressions alone in that movie are hilarious. Also, like the Marx Brothers movies. Everybody talk about when it comes to the Marx Brothers. Everybody talks about like Duck Soup and Animal Crackers and stuff like that. My favorite Marx Brothers movie is probably Night in Casablanca. There's one scene where Harpo is leaning against a wall, and Casablanca cop walks up to him. He's like, "What are you doing leaning against the wall? What do you think you're doing? Holding it up?" And Harpo just does the whole Harpo nodding his head really quick with the goofy look on his face. The cop grabs him, like, "Get over here!" And as soon as he does, the wall falls down. Yeah, I figured you were talking about Arsenic and Old Lace, Gary. That movie is hilarious. But yeah, that whole scene from A Night in Casablanca, that's one of my favorite comedic movie scenes ever. Because the cop, what do you think you're doing, holding up that wall? Sure enough, he was holding up that wall. Yeah, I didn't know about anybody doing Ford Fairlane on stage either. Anyway. Oh yeah, Francis the Talking Mule and who was it that played in that? Shit. I can't remember whose name who was it played in those movies. But he said it ruined his career doing it. Yeah. Yeah, Francis Talking Mule, Francis joins the Army, Francis joins the Navy. Yeah, there was a few of those Francis Talking Mule movies. And a lot of people don't realize this. I'm talking about movies. Yeah. Jason Stewart says now we have AOC. So I'm guessing he's saying that AOC is a sequel to Mr. Ed. Okay. We used to watch Mr. Ed in reruns all the time when I was younger because one local channel in Pittsburgh showed them all the time. Mr. Ed was funny. Oh, by the way, Wilbur, the voice, the guy who played Wilbur on Mr. Ed, was the voice of Scrooge McDuck, and in the old, the Disney cartoons, DuckTales, Mickey's Christmas Carol, and whatnot. That was the guy who played Wilbur on Mr. Ed. Anyway, what was I going to say before that? Shit, I forget. Oh, people don't realize. Here's something, an interesting Universal monster movies fact for you, since this is October. Bela Lugosi only played Dracula, the character he was buried in, and it's his like big claim to fame, playing Dracula. He only played Dracula twice. Once was in Dracula. From that point until I believe it was the 1950s, somebody else had always played Dracula in the Universal movies. The only other time Bela Lugosi played Dracula was in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So there's your tie-in back to the comedic movies as well. There's actually a connection there between the old Universal horror movies and comedy movies of the same era. And that connection is Bela Lugosi. Now you know the rest of the story.
Christopher Lee played Dracula more times than Bela Lugosi did.
Yeah. Um,
Better and a better. He didn't look like a better Dracula, but he did a better job. Like Bela Lugosi looks like your Halloween's Count Dracula.
have you ever seen the Spanish language version of Dracula that was filmed at the same time the English version of Dracula was filmed? It's the one starring Bela Lugosi. Have you seen this Spanish language version with the other guy playing it? That is widely regarded as the best of the Dracula movies, including that one. From all accounts, the Spanish language Dracula that was made at the same time using the exact same sets, same script as translated in Spanish was a better movie. Instead of just like dubbing the Bela Lugosi movie into Spanish, they actually made two movies at once. They made a Spanish language version and the English version. There's another little trivia bit for you that you may not have known. Do I got to do the Paul Harvey thing again? Now you know the rest of the story. There were a lot of good comedy movies during the black and white era. Philadelphia Story is a great comedy. You got Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and a host of other people in that movie.
My two favorite old movies are actually really, really terrible movies when you think about like a plot layout. But The Tale of Two Cities and The Maltese Falcon.
Maltese Falcon's a great movie. I love the Maltese Falcon. And A Tale of Two Cities, that's Charles Dickens, man. Come on. How can you say that has a
Now,
terrible
I'm talking about the movies aren't produced well. When you sit back and you really criticize the way a movie's made today and the way it flows through the story, I'm talking about like a good movie, not like a stupid superhero movie.
I love the Maltese Falcon.
I do too. They're my two favorite movies. Young Frank, anything Mel Brooks is better than
Yeah.
anything. Aside from Mel Brooks movies, A Tale of Two Cities and The Maltese Falcon are my favorite, but they're just not really. When you look back at them, they're cheesy movies.
I don't know if Maltese Falcon's cheesy, though. I mean, that's got a lot of critical acclaim to it. The Maltese Falcon is the movie pretty much just about started the whole film noir deal. So I don't know if I would call that a cheesy movie so much.
Well, I mean, if you, I'm looking at it from just a critic's point of view, from the way a movie's made today and the structure and the way it's set up and the plot base. You know, if they had all of those actors and that script back now, it'd be definitely a different movie. It'd still be just as good, but it'd be produced better.
I just don't see that. I'm sorry, King Ted. I just don't see it that way. I think that was a very well produced movie, but you know, everybody has their own opinions on things and stuff. So I just disagree with you on that one, which is perfectly fine. We can discuss that more on Rally Day. I don't know. Gotta have something to talk about on the way from DC back to here. Who thinks that we should stream Kingpin and I just talking about movies in a car? Anybody?
Neither one of us have 1,000 subs.
It might be a good way to get them. Two guys talking about movies in a car. You never know what's going to take off on YouTube.
Did you guys ever watch like Jerry Lewis movies?
Yes, I used to love watching Jerry Lewis movies.
I still have a bunch of his movies. I don't have the ones with him and Dean Martin, but I have
Oh.
a bunch of.
The best Jerry Lewis movies are the ones with him and Dean Martin.
I like Cinderfella and the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, those were good.
Yeah, those ones were good. And I'm trying to look. I have a bunch of them because my mom had a bunch. I'm trying to remember some of the ones that I watched a lot.
The Disorderly Orderly.
Yeah, that one was really good. I'm trying to get a list of his movies. I mean, I can go in there and look up, find a bunch of the movies, but
I'm in the same spot you are right now. I used to watch Jerry Lewis movies all the time, especially Martin and Lewis, because they used to show the Martin and Lewis movies on TV all the time when I was a kid. And I can't think of a single name of any of the Martin Lewis movies. I can picture them in my head. I can't remember the damn names to them.
let's see. Let's see. Performing with Dean Martin. Let's see.
There was the one where they get away from the gangsters. They join the army. Is that in the army now? Is that what that one was?
At War with the Army.
Maybe that's what it was.
That's My Boy. Sailor Beware. Jumping Jacks. The Stooge. Scared Stiff. Oh, The Caddy. Money from Home. Living It Up. Three Ring Circus. You're Never Too Young. Artists and Models. Partners. Hollywood or Bust. Like I said, I don't remember which ones I have in there, but I have a bunch of. I think I have Nutty Professor in there. I think I have Disorderly Orderly. Trying to think what else I have. Rockabye Baby, I think I have.
Yeah, Gary brings up No Time for Sergeants. It's one of the funniest movies ever.
Bellboy, I have Bellboy.
Yeah, the Bellboy.
Cinderfella.
I was wanting to say the Bellhop, but no, that wasn't right. Bellboy. That was close in what I was thinking.
Here's what I was trying to think of is Who's Minding the Store. That's what I was trying to think of. That one's really good. I have that one.
Jason Stewart says Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. in Cannonball Run. Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, I love Cannonball Run.
And 2 was the one where they were dressed as priests, right? And they were they're driving the Ferrari dressed as priests.
Yeah, Cannonball Run was an awesome movie.
The second one wasn't bad either. I mean,
no.
I mean, the first one didn't have Frank Sinatra in it. Come on. The second one was the one that had Jackie Chan in it, right?
Yeah. Jackie Chan, he was a good actor.
Yeah. Jackie Chan and the guy that played Jaws in the James Bond movies driving that little Mitsubishi with all the computers in it.
Yeah, I remember watching all the actual Jackie Chan movies.
Well, I've seen quite a few of the Jackie Chan movies.
That was back when a lot of those movies were good.
Yeah, Jackie Chan mixed a lot of comedies in with his action movies.
Yeah.
He did
Jackie Chan movies. I mean, they're martial arts type based, but they were always so funny.
What was
you know why he did that? You know why Jackie Chan added in the physical comedy stuff that he did in his movies?
Huh.
He was a big fan of the old silent comedians like Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd. So he tried to add some elements of like what they did into his movies.
You remember the movie? I can't think of the name of it, but when he slid down that skyscraper,
Oh yeah, the what that was what in Australia, some Australian skyscraper or something that he was sliding down.
he did that like a
Yeah.
couple.
Oh yeah,
like
he did all his own stunts.
Yeah, that was real.
Yeah, until he did like Rush Hour movies, he didn't use all the like special effects stuff that we use over here in this country. Everything they did, they were actually doing because they didn't have
Yeah.
budget.
Stunts, everything.
Yeah, they didn't have the budget to put in all these special effects things. They were doing a stunt. They were actually doing the stunt.
Pancake sent out links if you didn't see.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I get one almost every week, and I hardly ever go on.
I can hardly ever go on because I got to go to bed like 5 minutes after he starts up.
Yeah, that's usually me too. And just because I'm officially off work, so I get up early tomorrow morning, but I don't want to get back in the habit of like Snob. I mean, he will end up staying up till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning talking, and then, it's hell trying to get him up the next morning. I don't want to get back in the habit of doing that again. It shows.
And my sleep's all screwed up right now. So, Gary pointed out he did all his own stunts. So, yes, Jackie Chan has said that he has broken more bones than he can count at this point, doing all his own stunts. And he wouldn't go get a regular cast. Like he broke his leg the one time and he kept filming. He would just he'd get one of those strap-on casts during filming, and he would just take it off whenever the scene called for him to be on camera. He would just endure the pain. Like, I can't imagine the pain threshold Jackie Chan had. I would never be able to do that,
I couldn't do it.
And let alone do the fighting choreography and stuff that he did while you having a broken leg. Come on.
Well, he said that's where most of his injuries came from, was just the fight scene choreography, like accidentally getting punched in the face or getting hit with a billy club or something like that.
Oh yeah. He said he lost count of how many times he's had his nose broken.
Well, and Jason Stewart brings up when he jumped through the rungs of the ladder.
Oh
and,
yeah.
When he'd slide through little tiny windows and stuff like that, and his foot and have to do it over again.
To see everything that ever happened in one of those movies when they're making it, all you gotta do is watch the ending credits of one of his movies. They have the blooper reel and at the end of every one of his movies showing where stuff like that happens.
Now I want to go back and watch Jackie Chan movies again. It's been forever since I've seen any.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them in a while either.
You don't really see a lot of them on like reruns, or Rush Hour used to come on every now and then, reruns, but I haven't seen it on in a long time.
Yeah, Rush Hour's not that great, really. It was good when it came out, but it doesn't stand up that way.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's just I just find Chris Tucker annoying as hell. Something about Chris Tucker always rubbed me the wrong way. Seven. Come on, man. Why you got to bring down the chat? Come on. He said better than Brandon Lee's film accident. Come on, man. Really? We're going to go there? Anyway, on that note, since Midnight's starting to send out his invites. Are you sure that's what happened there, Kingpin? Are you sure that the Clintons were the ones funding the Crow?
That somebody hacked my account right then and there. 'Cause the Clintons are the most innocent people on earth. Don't ever say anything bad about the Clintons around me.
Anyway, we gotta start wrapping this up. So, anything you want to plug, Stacy?
Not really.
Okay.
Sub
What
to
about
Gary.
you? Huh? Yeah. Sub to
Sub to
Gary.
Gary.
folks. Yep. Sub to Gary. Trying to get him over 1,000 in case you don't know. So, anybody out there, click the little 3 buttons wherever Gary posts something. Go over to his channel and check him out. And if you already are subbed, share his stuff and get other people subbed.
He's probably already left us and went to midnight.
Yeah, maybe. He was just posting not that long ago. So anyway, Kingpin, got anything you want to plug?
Clinton 2020.
Oh man, that woman don't know when to give up. Anyway, I want to thank my guests for showing up today, Stacy and Kingpin, and everybody else out there. Thank you for showing up too. And we will catch you next week. And don't pee in the cold box. Don't ruin food. Not good. Don't do it. Bye bye. Later. Adios. Arrivederci. Bye, Felicia, and all that other good stuff.